Report. All right, Ohio Political News coming to you live. And we wouldn't have it any other way. It's good to see everybody out there tonight. Yeah. Woo! Thousands. It's a cast of thousands to put this show together every single Sunday night. We do it. Hey,
Welcome,
Brian.
Everyone.
Well,
good to see everybody.
Jonathan
Cheers,
is out
everyone.
there. Good to see you, Jonathan. I want to get the commish with us here tonight. How you doing, John?
Doing
to see you.
good.
Good to see you. All right. All right.
Have
so
we got the commissioner a mug yet? I think it's okay to get him a mug, right?
Hey, yeah, we
should get him a
will.
mug.
Yeah, we will for Christmas. He's going to get a mug. Who's got their mug with him? Anybody?
I
Ohio
got my
Political
mug
News
here.
mug.
Jonathan's got
Mine's
his
right
mug,
here.
so
Yeah.
You got it up
So-
there? Let's see it, Brian. Okay, good.
Yeah.
There it
And I
is.
got
There
mine.
she is in all its glory. Hey, tonight we got some good guests. Jeff Skinner is going to be joining us. He's from the Ohio Register. He's got a couple of interesting stories, including one with Vivek Ramaswamy and the H-1B visas. And to me, that's a major red flag with Ramaswamy, so we got to get to the bottom of that. And then at 8 o'clock, Stuart Moats is going to be joining us. Who is Stuart Moats, you might say? Stuart Moats is Lieutenant Governor for Heather Hill. Heather Hill is running for governor. He's going to be the lieutenant governor if they win. So we couldn't get Heather on tonight, but we did get Stuart, and we'll find out what their platform is and how they vary from Ramaswamy. Thinking about it right now, Ramaswamy doesn't even have a lieutenant governor. He hasn't picked anyone that I'm aware of. And Amy
he should
Acton
pick
hasn't
Rep.
either,
Gross.
by the way. Amy Acton hasn't picked a lieutenant governor.
I don't think she has a chance, but I think
Yeah.
Ramaswamy should pick Rep. Gross. Jennifer Gross.
Yeah,
would be a
Gross.
great
Right.
lieutenant
Jennifer
governor.
Gross should be the there.
yeah, Jennifer
without a
Gross
doubt.
or Commissioner John Plachnik. That'd be my vote. So just throw that name in there.
We also have the Thirsty Cowboy tomorrow. We have this event, and guys, a few of you guys are going to be there. I know that Brian Massey, John Palashnik. We also have Tom Z joining us, and Chris Galway, auditor from Lake County, will be out there at the Thirsty Cowboy. You guys ever been to the Thirsty Cowboy?
Oh yeah, yes, we have spoken there before.
You're
yes.
not allowed to
Nice
go in
place.
there without having a beer in your hand, from what I was told. But the Thirsty Cowboy,
That's going to be a problem for me. I've never had a beer in my life, John.
Is that right? Okay. Well, we'll make an exception for you. We don't want any of the panelists drinking. I'm hoping we have a good turnout for this event. I'm really hoping and praying that we have a really good turnout. It's going to be one of those tax town halls. So I'm going to be in the audience, and hopefully we have a good-sized audience, and ask away. Any questions, these guys will be up. You guys will be up there at that front table, okay? And you just fire away. Any of the questions, you guys are more than capable of answering them. That's tomorrow night. Well, I should say Monday night. So if you're watching this on a tape and it's past Monday, you missed it. But we'll be doing another one next Monday. But it's at the Thirsty Cowboy. Starts at 6 o'clock in Medina. It's real easy to get to, right off I-71 there. So make sure you get there. Doors open at 6 o'clock. Leonard Gilbert will be out there, too. Didn't want to forget about...
Yeah, we're not
want to
going to
forget
hold
about
anything
Leonard
back tomorrow night. We're going to let the people know what we discovered when we went down to the county commissioners' winter conference in Columbus.
All right, fill us in a little bit on that, Brian. You were talking about that off air, a little bit about what took place. So you went down to Columbus.
Yes, we were
And
invited
this
to go
was-
to the conference to speak to the county commissioners. I'd never been there before, but they wanted a proponent of the abolishment of the property taxes. So Leonard Gilbert, my Christian brother, and I went down there, and we spoke before probably the most hostile crowd. Not probably, it was the most hostile crowd that I have spoken in front of regarding property taxes in several years that I've been doing this.
Okay, so how many commissioners were there? County commissioners.
I'm not sure. There was about 100. There's about 100 people. There was standing room only. In the room. We did bring my camcorder. I couldn't take video of the audience but I did take a recording of Leonard and myself and Karen Kessler. Karen Kessler is the news reporter for the State House News. The State House News is in the basement of the Ohio Capitol. So I have been interviewed by her at the State House in their recording studio. It was a few months ago. And I thought she was going to be a little, non-biased, but I was wrong. She was very biased.
Well, when you're in a group of 100 people that are all for property taxes, and what was she doing? She had the camera set up, and she's a news person, right? And
she was the moderator, and I didn't know what the format was going to be, and I said, well, what are you thinking about the format? She says, well, I'll give you 2 minutes to introduce yourself, and then we're going to go into questioning. So it wasn't one of those where I could give a half-hour speech about property taxes. I quickly told everyone, how I got started in this thing and what I saw happening when I, went to Lake County Commissioner meetings and all of my public records requests, what that told me about the growth of government, the public sector outgrowing the private sectors. I even had my sign that showed, a guy that represented the public sector, the government, just towering over the private sector. I'm not sure. That probably triggered a lot in the room.
Oh, you brought that sign with you. I like that sign. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a good sign.
I'll bring that tomorrow too. To the and I started out by telling everybody that of all the videos, and I've taken hundreds of videos and posted them on YouTube and Rumble, but there's 3 that really stand out to me, and I'm not sure they really appreciate it, but I told them the truth. I didn't tell them any comforting lies, and
well, you went right into the lion's den. You realize that you went right into the lion's den. These guys are the ones who need property taxes and want them as high as possible. All the county commissioners. So, they're not going to be on your side.
Commissioner Pleshek may have something to say about that because he did take the time to look. I've got it's a 1-hour video. It's kind of long, but he did take the time to look at it, and maybe he's got some insight knowledge that he can share with us.
Well, okay, I'm going to go to John Pleshnik here in a second, but I think George Satari joined us. George, did you join us? Are you out there?
Yeah, I'm out here. Can you hear me?
I hear you. Yep. Okay. So your camera's not working, though, correct?
I don't want to scare away the audience. So.
Yeah. Keep that camera off. Actually, we probably all of us should have the cameras off. I'm thinking to some extent, but let's get the commission here. Let me cut over to you for a second. So. John, you missed out on the commissioners' meeting, even though you are commissioner in Lake County. So, how were you able to do that?
So let me just say, with the passing of Commissioner Rich Ragovich, it was very important for Commissioner Beveridge and I to be close to home and to make sure that we were both there to sign off on any critical issues that came up. Normally, we send one commissioner down to CCAO and have the other 2 local in case decisions need to be made. And I think that's true for a lot of counties. So when Brian says there's about 100 people there, that makes sense to me. You got 88 counties. Most of them are sending one commissioner as a representative, and a few are sending along some staff as well. So 100 sounds about right. I will say I've never been invited to be the keynote speaker at CCAO. It's actually a really big deal. When I asked Party Chairman Dale Fellows, who do you think the speaker's going to be this year? He said J.D. Vance, nah. Bernie Moreno, nah. John Houston, nah. Mike DeWine, nah. I said Brian Massey, and Dale choked a little bit. It's a pretty extraordinary thing, but I think it emphasizes that the movement that Brian is leading is truly statewide. The property taxes are too damn high. We all know it. It's got to change, but there's definitely this enormous resistance from the establishment. And I've compared it to the resistance that we saw to President Donald Trump in 2016 when he said, I want to be our party's nominee. We saw all the mucky mucks and the bigwigs in Columbus circle the fences around John Kasich and say, we can't have this Trump guy. But there were firebrands like me who said, no, this guy's going to be the most conservative president in our lifetime, and we're voting Trump. And just like Trump prevailed, I think you're going to see a mass adoption of the movement to abolish property taxes as we go into next year. I think that politicians, as they look at the polls, as they hear from more and more angry constituents, are slowly, and I do mean slowly, beginning to recognize that the voters are mad as hell and they're just not going to take it anymore. So I want to commend Brian on a historic invitation to speak to the County Commissioners Association of Ohio, and I agree with Joe Miller. He was going right into the lion's den, right into the fiery furnace, the belly of the beast. These are not the people who wanted to hear it. Brian likes to tell people I'm the first county commissioner to have signed the petition to abolish property taxes. I'm beginning to wonder if I'm the only one after watching that video. But Brian, I have to say, you and Leonard really nailed it. You walked right into a hostile crowd. You didn't edit your commentary at all. You gave it to them as a straight shot. And yeah, it burnt. It hurt.
Oh, yeah, they don't like to hear that. They don't like to hear that.
And that's why they reacted. They reacted like a vampire that stepped out in the sun for the first time. You're not going to keep getting unlimited money increasing every year based on inflation to just keep giving yourselves raises. Those days are over. And they're not just over in the sense that, Dave Thomas is going to limit your increases, so it's only going to go up 17% instead of 20%. No. It's over in the sense that you're going to have to actually start doing more with less. You're going to have less taxes, and you're going to be expected to do more. I loved when we heard from Leonard, and he's like, why would we pay for these public schools? If a third to half the students aren't proficient in reading and math, depending on the district we're looking at, why would anyone put up their hard-earned tax dollars to pay for that? Not only are taxpayers demanding that you do this for a lot less money, they're going to demand you do more. Frankly, it's conservative to say the taxpayers expect you to do twice as much with half the money. I think a lot of us demand more, and that's the new normal for government. So yeah, it's really scary when county commissioners, school board members, state reps, state senators here, you're going to have to do twice the good with half the money or less.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to play this one second here, guys, because we've got a lot to talk about with this whole thing. But I got this off the Housing Nerd. Brian, I got this off of your website. Listen to this, guys. I want to go into a whole discussion then with everybody. But listen to what this guy has to say here.
Ohio cities: Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, Akron, Toledo, and Dayton. There are nearly 300,000 properties behind on their taxes. That's a mass wave of owners that can't afford their property taxes.
All right, 1 second here. I'm going to just reiterate some of the stuff that he says because it just flies over the head real quick. But he just said out of 6 cities in Ohio, 6, there are close to 300,000 delinquent properties here in Ohio.
Those 6 cities represent only 20% of Ohio's population, which means when you extrapolate the tax delinquencies in these major cities, we could be looking at between 500 and 750,000 total property tax delinquencies in this.
You're looking at somewhere between 500,000 and 750,000 properties that are tax delinquent.
As a realtor, I work with these people every day, and many are shocked when they realize what their property tax bill will be once they move into their new home. Tax delinquency is one of the first stages of foreclosure. Here's how it works. Penalties and interest continue to accumulate. You get further behind and it grows faster than you can pay it. Your county sells the lien to an investor. That investor adds their own fees and interest and penalties. Eventually, you're foreclosed on. Tax Ease, which is actually based in Texas, has contracted with counties throughout the state to slam Ohioans with massive penalties and tax delinquent interest that continues to pile up to a point that the homeowner has really little choice except to sell their property or face foreclosure. And many counties will do this because they can get their money up front from this investor, and then the investor gets to enjoy massive profits from the insane penalties. And I can't stress enough.
That is so weird, though. I never knew that. But the county, and John could probably verify this, So it sounds like the county is like more than willing to have a third party take over these delinquent houses because the third party will throw money at the county. Then they'll keep passing on penalties and fees to the homeowner, and then eventually they get the property and they'll sell it at a profit and everything like that. So it's a big money maker, but it's
these penalties
slime.
will add up.
These are
Trust
slime
me,
buckets.
As somebody who's missed a property tax payment before, the fees and the penalties are insane. Some are pushing for the complete abolishment of property taxes. These are survival organizations. People are coming together because, quite frankly, they don't know what else to do. To put it bluntly, they're sick and tired of being extorted for unrealized gains on the paper value of their property.
All right, so there was a lot there, but I wanted to play that full 2 minutes there because he just whipped through so much great information. All right, Brian, and I'm going to go around the horn so everybody can contribute here. But go ahead.
Well, my big takeaway, and I was talking to Leonard about this on our drive home. My big takeaway is that those county commissioners, they are not big believers in the ownership of private property. And they are not concerned about saving home ownership for future generations. It doesn't enter into their thought process. All they're worried about is, and I kept hearing it over and over and over again, was the schools. We got to fund the schools, and what are we going to do about police and fire? When they ask me the question, how are you going to fund police and fire? It's just very, very easy. Just send me a bill. Just don't tie it to my house. And that brought down the laughter throughout the whole audience. Like, well, that's the craziest idea. No matter what we as taxpayers say to our elected representatives, it will not be good enough, because what they don't want to do is they don't want to upset their donor base, their unions that are bringing in the campaign contributions to make sure that they get reelected. I told them that there was 3 videos that I've taken that have has formed my opinion on what I see, that the state of Ohio is run by socialists. And that was the first one when Ron Young said the top priorities of government is to protect itself and to grow. And the top priorities of any elected official is to protect themselves and get reelected. The second video was when I recorded Representative Dan Troy at one of his town hall meetings, and he said that the public school funding is the purest form of socialism as far as the redistribution of wealth. So I asked the question, who is responsible for the education of the child? Is that the state's responsibility? If you look at Article 6, Section 2 of the Ohio Constitution, it says distinctly that the state should provide the funding.
The state has to provide the funding. You better believe it. Yeah.
Then the third one I mentioned was Senator Jerry Serino at a Willoughby Hills meeting of all the politicians from Lake County, and that was Serino, in my opinion, declared war on we the people. When he said, he talked about the movement, he said, do not sign the petition, if it gets on the ballot, do not vote for it, and also tell 100 of your friends, do not sign the petition. So we've got a senator that is not interested in private property ownership either.
Yeah, okay, so, you're right. Serino did say that. Tell 100 people not to vote for this. Do everything you can to stop it and to squash it. All right, I'm going to go around the horn here for a minute. I'm going to go to George first, though, because I'm going to give him an opportunity to say something. George, you with us here? I can't see you, so I'm assuming you are.
I'm here.
Go ahead.
I mean, all these people are net tax receivers, so they have no incentive to cut anything. Ultimately, whatever they get is not free money. Obviously, they're doing a little bit of work, but obviously they're higher paid than the average citizen. The average government employee is 20-30% higher than private industry based on, fringe benefits, vacation time, things like that. In the city of Cleveland alone, the teachers full-time is 800 hours a year. Now, we all know that 50 times 40 is 2,000 hours a year, generally full-time with a couple of weeks vacation. maybe 1,800 hours. The Cleveland schools teachers 800 hours a year. Now, as you were saying before, they're going to have to do twice as much with half the money. About time they get off their asses and do some real work. And the old saying, those who can do, those who can't teach, those who can't teach become guidance counselors. So, it's a cottage industry. They don't care about our children. They don't care about education. The United States has fallen to 38th position out of 40 industrialized nations. The state of Ohio is pretty bad. Individual cities, they're happy if they crawl from a F to a D minus, and they consider that, hurrah, hurrah, victory. So the whole thing is pathetic, disgusting, and the whole thing needs to be overhauled and reworked. The whole system is built on the backs of the working class and I won't say the poor people, but the middle class. And again, I don't believe that a teacher should not be part of the middle class, but they're a little bit luxuriating in higher echelons, and they put their noses up like the elites that they try to be. So the whole thing has to be revamped totally.
Yeah, it has to be revamped. And I don't mind somebody living middle, upper middle, or even whatever, but I don't want it coming out of my taxes, and I'm paying for it, and my property taxes are paying for it, and then I'm getting thrown out of my house so that they can live better. Let's just put the kibosh on that. Put up one of the chats real quick, if you would, please, Ken. Okay, let's see.
Adam Coleman. Put up the Adam Coleman comment, because I'd love to comment on that.
Okay, let's see what it says here. Republicans have controlled the House since 2011. Republicans have controlled the Senate since 1985 and the governor position since 2011. They have dropped the ball and failed at tax reduction and fiscal responsibility.
Okay, so it gives me great pleasure to introduce you, Adam Coleman, to Ohio Rhino Hunters. We're all over social media. Come find us, because something called party raiding happened. It happened, and it was orchestrated and planned out, and strategized by the far left liberal Democrats to invade the Republican Party. So ultimately, those aren't Republicans. Overwhelmingly, the people that you're looking at who have an R next to their name, and it happens at the local level as well, are not actually Republicans. I can point to hundreds of examples of people who were lifelong Democrats, even climbed the ranks and became leadership within the Democrat Party, and then lo and behold, they lose an election, or they just show up someday on the doorstep like a lost dog and claim to be a Republican, and a year or two later they hold some office with an R next to their name. It's frustrating, and it's what we ultimately refer to as the uniparty. If we're going to get back to that supposed two-party system we have and potentially give back voice and vote to we the people, we're going to need to get actual Republicans. That means the type of person who is in some way distinguishable from the far left Democrat neo-communist party. So if we can get some Republicans in the Republican Party, we might actually have something. So a couple of other comments back to the property tax issue. I encourage everybody who is still on Facebook, go find the Committee to Abolish Ohio Property Tax. It's a very robust group. I see a lot of posting in there. Ohio Political News posts in there on a pretty regular basis. I've posted as well. In fact, this morning I posted some thoughts on property valuation, because that's key. When we suddenly are told that our properties are worth 30% more than they were a couple of years ago, we have to actually take a serious look at what led to that. My post this morning, just 11 hours ago, has it's 253 likes, 101 comments, and 89 people have forwarded that so far. It lets you know that there is a very active conversation on this subject. One of the key pieces that I want to point to, a few quick things very quickly. I would pay close attention to farms and farmland in Ohio. I strongly suspect that that is a key target. We're talking a lot about who is buying and who owns property, residential properties. And of course, that's something we should care about. But I believe that farms and farmland are pole position and in the scope of those who are attacking property and home ownership or property ownership. When it comes to taxes, it's important to recognize that just like regulation, it's easy to add and virtually impossible to subtract. I happen to be looking at county budget projections for my county of Geauga. Geauga, and this is true, I think, for every one of Ohio's 88 counties. I can look at 2018 and 2019 and see what we used to exist on, our expenses. That's the cost of living here in the county of Geauga in 2018, 2019. Our current costs and revenue are about 45 to 50% higher. What do we have to show for that? In my county, there's very little. By the way, as a side note, for anybody that is in Northeast Ohio, that's Lake, Geauga, parts of Cuyahoga, Ashtabula, and a little further south, I am newly a radio show host. As of December 12th, I'm broadcasting drive time, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. on WINT, that is 101.5 FM, 1330 a.m. That's WINT. You can also stream it. My reason for bringing that up, because this actually has been our topic the last several days. We're drilling down into Geauga's budget. But the thing that I'm finding is the people that follow me and provide comment are saying the exact same things from all over the state. I'm getting comments from central, southern, east, and western Ohio that their budgets have done the same thing. They've ballooned up, and now just the horrible poisonous icing on the cake in Geauga's projections for next year is that our expenses will be higher than revenue. So revenue skyrocketed because all this crappy COVID money flooded into the system, and we raised spending, buying all kinds of luxury items to match the revenue that was coming in. But now we're actually going to exceed that high watermark of all that ugly money. Ultimately, these people need to do a better job of understanding the will and interests of we the people and know that there is no government money. It's all taxpayer money. We're funding this. So, in summation, go find the conversations taking place about abolishing property taxes and participate. There are a lot of great conversations. There are a lot of great concerns. There's no easy fix to this. It's ballooned and blossomed and turned into a cancer over 70 plus years. It's not going to be easy, but we need to find answers that stop putting people out on the street.
Okay, hang on a second. Hang on one second. I just got to get our guest here. Just acknowledge him, Jeff Skinner. We're going to get to you in 1 minute. Okay, I'm going to let just wrap this up here real quick with this whole thing with the property taxes. But we'll circle around and talk about the property taxes later. But we got to get to Jeff Skinner here. But I'll give John, if you got a quick comment or something you want to say, and then we're going to go to Jeff and Brian, if you got something quick you want to say. But
yeah.
Well, let me quote Brian Massey from the County Commissioners Association speech, quoting me. The property taxes are too damn high. And when you tell the average resident, well, how are we going to pay for services if we don't tax your home? Do you really think that person cares about having a fire department to put out a fire in a house that they got kicked out of? Now, there's no universe where we don't have roads, police, and fire. It's nonsensical to say if we abolish property taxes, we're going to live in a post-apocalyptic Mad Max-style world. But I think that the politicians show how touch they are when they say, well, you won't have services for the home we're going to evict you from. If you're homeless, you don't care if there's a fire department. You're not worried about how nice the road is in front of the house they kicked you out of. So the tone-deaf nature of the politicians, that people are going to be worried about the niceties of life when they're fighting to keep their home, it's just kind of ludicrous. And this is where I think Brian and I disagree just a little bit about his experience in Columbus. Brian says, he just said here, these commissioners don't understand or value private property rights. I said, Brian, I disagree. They value private property rights. They're only worried about themselves. they're not in a position where realistically any of them are going to be taxed out of their homes, so they don't care. There's zero empathy. There's zero concern for the least and most vulnerable among us, for low-income seniors, for disabled veterans. It's not that they don't care about private property. Oh, they do. If you said you, commissioner, you state rep, you mayor are being kicked out of your home, oh, they'd be there with pitchforks and torches and carrying a sign saying abolish property tax today.
Right.
And the problem is not that they don't understand private property rights. They don't understand they're for all Americans, not just them.
Absolutely. Also, we got a chat there, and put that one back up from Hamilton County, if you would, for a second here. It says, do a story on the auditor and the treasurer breaking the law on discrimination in Hamilton County. I have proof and I have documents. So what I need you to do, Clayton, is email me. Okay, my email is right there, joe@ohiopoliticalnews.com. So connect with me, and we're always looking for stories. We're always looking for news stories. So
yeah, Joe,
please
just
do
real
that.
quick,
Go ahead, Brian.
I'll wrap it up. There was a chat about, do I know anything about this Homestead Heroes? There's a group. The group is led by Bill Holman, and Mr. Holman and his compatriot were pushing the legislators to eliminate all property taxes just for residential homeowners. And unfortunately, he's about 3 or 4 years behind Leonard and I, because we tried to get no property taxes for seniors, and we found out there'll be no carve-outs for seniors. So although we appreciate him trying to help the people, the citizens of the state of Ohio, it's not going anywhere because legislators will not touch this issue.
You said it. There's nothing controversial about the issue of abolishing property taxes. I don't see why that would even be a problem for anybody. I just can't see that. Can't see any lawmakers getting upset, or any county commissioners, or anybody. Just my opinion. All right, let's bring in our guest here, because we got to do that. Jeff Skinner with the Ohio Register. Good to see you, Jeff. Thank you for coming on the show tonight. If you want to plug the Ohio Register, go ahead. I'll give you a couple of seconds. And then I want to get into this Ramaswamy story, if we could, okay? You just wrote about it.
Yeah, it's theohioregister.com. You can also find us on Facebook under the Ohio Register, and X, same name. We're also on the Substack as well for the Ohio Register.
Yeah, and so that's where we've got these stories from. So I want to talk about this one with Ramaswamy here, because I found it to be very interesting. So Vivek Ramaswamy, he was a keynote speaker at the IT Serve Alliance event, Synergy 2025, and that was in Puerto Rico, right?
Yes.
And that was in December 4th and 5th, so just a couple days ago. Okay.
Well, there's been updates to that, but go ahead.
Yeah, so the organization, it operates about foreign lobbying, and what it's all about is it's managed out of India, and it's he was one of the main keynote speakers at this event. And by the way, and it's all to get H-1B visas into Ohio. That's the main gist of this whole thing. They want Indian people coming to this country through the H-1B visa program. But there was a lot of opponents to Trump. I want to play this cut here.
Kick the butt of Donald Trump. Kick his ass, really.
Kick his, what? Listen to this lady. Kick his, I'm not even going to say it. I'm not going to say that. I got more. There's the people.
First of all, when Trump talks about anti-immigrant, I'm always surprised. 2 out of his 3 wives were immigrants. and as it's true. And somebody recently said, the joke that they make, that immigrants do all the hard work that no other person wants to do. That's what we talk about the poor wives who got married to him, that no other American would want to be with him.
This lady is unreal. So first of all, she's bashing Trump over and over. If it's a joke or something, but she goes on and on and on, and this says that no woman would want to be with him, and these immigrants are the only ones that he could get. Well, this was a whole convention for India. the country of India. And it's all to bring more and more of them into the country through the H-1B visa. And the fact that Ramaswamy was one of the keynote speakers for the event, that's the news we're trying to get to the bottom of here. Now, one other thing here, then I'm going to just throw it your way, but it says that that this group, International Competitive Metrics, has shown that India consistently ranks lower in competitive programming than nations with far smaller populations. So making the argument that over 70% of the H-1B visa people that come over from India are here because they're so much smarter than anybody else, and we need them in technology, and we can't use the Generation Z kids who are coming out of Dayton University with their engineering degree because they're just not smart enough, and we've got to just import India. So that's the basic premise of some of your story there. Let's go ahead and take it from there if you would.
Yeah. I'd like to provide a little history and context there too. So earlier this year in 2025, India as a nation used a lot of its nonprofits to come together, and they launched a national program called GATI, Global Access to Talent from India. The major premise of this operation was to increase both H-1Bs and Western immigration of Indian workers into the West by about 45 to 50 million over the next 5 years. That's their goal. They want to increase remittances to their country by $300 billion. So this is a national operation. And the way that GATI has outlined, and they've been very upfront and forward about this, how they've outlined they're going to accomplish this is by utilizing foreign nationals abroad to both lobby for decreasing restrictions and regulations around immigration and worker programs, as well as using business-to-business operations and nonprofits. And they're going to pipeline this. This is their whole plan. They've been very open and upfront about it. And part of the operation relies on a nonprofit organization, one of them being IT Serve Alliance. IT Serve Alliance lists itself as a nonprofit conglomerate of IT companies, LLCs, across the country. However, even though they say they are a U.S.-based nonprofit organization, if you looked, and they have since tried to, privatize their accounts so people can't look at this anymore, but their accounts are all managed out of India. And then videos have been leaking out this week of backdoor meetings that the leadership has had both with foreign national dignitaries of India, bragging about how, roughly, half to 70% of their workforce is Indian. They're sending over half of their earnings back to India. So this is, facilitating that plan that GATI has laid out. And I think one of the major concerns is, what you showed, that was a video of Sheila Murthy, who is the long-term contracted legal attorney for IT Serve Alliance. She's been on contract retainer with them since 2016. And that video was from a Seattle event that they had, I believe, within the last year or so. And she has made those disparaging comments about Trump. And really, it's because Trump put forth some pretty strict immigration restrictions on H-1B during his first term in office. And IT Serve Alliance launched a lawsuit against the federal government in 2018 to overturn a lot of those restrictions, not based on, whether or not they felt that they were, restrictive or bad or hurtful, but because of the process for which they were laid out. Because they were outlined in memorandums, they were able to overturn them, which actually opened the floodgates to increased H-1B imports over the last, let's say, 5 years. And it's kind of been a disaster, in my opinion, for other countries that have gone down this road without any sort of impediment. You can look at Canada, which has pretty much increased, unfettered H-1B, we'll call it that, is their equivalent of that, immigration into their country. They now have a 15% plus unemployment rate amongst their youth. So you've got kids that are graduating these engineering schools, and they can't find jobs. Even worse for someone in the U.S. where we don't have, socialized universities. They're coming out of schools here in the U.S. with hundreds of thousands of dollars of college loan debt, and they're competing with people that are willing to work for a quarter of the price through these immigration programs. So it's disastrous for us here nationally.
Yeah. So I didn't show everything that lady said, but there was also a part where she was saying that you have to have the brotherhood and the unity of India. And then I just saw a chat there where somebody was saying that they were in the IT department. And let's see, here it is right here. I've been since 2000. H-1Bs took many IT jobs throughout my career, saw it firsthand. And then they turn into the India Mafia, once in management, and they hire only Indians. Now, this lady is making that claim basically on that video, saying, you got to unite, we got to stick together, we got to bring in all the Indians. We got to bring the Indians into America. So
that's what the Somalis are saying, too.
That's the Somalis. That is just their way of conducting business. And I don't know, you said something like 30 to 50 million, which is scary. That's off the charts scary. Let me just pass around the baton here for a minute. George, you want to comment on H1?
Yeah, it's obscene. I have some clients that have a few. They're from Europe, but the way they craft the document is that it's written in such a way that it's tailored that no one here can perform that job, which is nonsense. They crafted and tailored very specifically to keep the jobs out of American hands, and so the company is able to hire a foreigner under the program. I don't know if that 50 million number is correct, but everybody's turning the United States into the economic flop house. We're just here to provide jobs and money to be sending overseas. They don't care about our culture, our history, our Constitution. We're just an economic flop house. That's all.
Yeah,
we're just here to be milked.
When they're taking jobs from the Generation Z, the college kids right now, that is where we have to draw the line. Because these kids coming in from India are not as well qualified as some of these engineering students that are coming out of all the colleges here in Ohio. They're not even close. These are very, very tough, regimented degrees that you get.
Yeah, Joe, if I could interject, and Trump is backpedaling on the H-1B restrictions. He wants to open it even broader, just like all of a sudden he wanted to go from 300,000 Chinese students to 600,000. What the hell is that all about? Is Donald Trump our Trojan horse to implement the replacement theory, or what's going on? I mean, he does 80%, 85%. I could agree with him, but some of the things he does, like, again, the Chinese students and the increase of the H-1B visas and some of the extra constitutional stuff, I don't know. These are very distressing to me.
Absolutely. Well, I got to get a few of these other guys in here. Jonathan, you want to say anything on this subject?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've covered a lot of the concerns about patent infringement and copying business models, those sorts of things, the potential to lose intellectual property here in the United States, along with the loss of those jobs. Because Jeff Skinner is exactly right. We're putting these kids through very high cost colleges in many instances with the expectation that they're going to get out and get hired by one of the companies in the United States. And if they get undercut, that's really bad. But I want to talk for a moment in a little greater detail about an additional level of money lost, another kind of off radar mechanism to lose money. And that is wage remittance. We have a lot of people, George can correct me if I'm using that term incorrectly, but they have a lot of people that come into the United States, work for peanuts oftentimes, and they live in squalor, but then they take some of their money and send it back to their home nation. So I'm looking at some figures here, and according to a Brave search, I use the web, browser Brave, and it has a search feature built into it. And according to what I'm seeing here, in 2023, India received $119.5 billion in total remittances, making it the world's largest recipient. Of this, nearly 30%, for $35.8 billion, came from Indian workers in the United States. So that's just money that's just evaporating out the door. So this is just wrong on multiple levels. If you have American college kids who go through and put the work in and graduate with a degree, they should be hired. When they are and get a reasonable wage, then they're keeping that money in the local economy. They're feeding our economy by buying goods and services, and it keeps us a robust nation. If you replace that person, not only do you potentially add them to the jobless, and they have to rely on government support and assistance, but you're replacing them with somebody who might very well be funneling part of their wages out of the country somewhere else. It's just a lose all the way around. And I think we do absolutely need to be putting people's feet to the fire and asking harder hitting questions about this intention to increase H-1B. And George Satari is right. I've seen and know a little bit, at least, about how those H-1B visas are written. And they're written in a way to create the impression that there isn't a viable U.S. alternative. And most often, in the cases that I'm aware of, there is. They could hire an American citizen to fill that job, and they're simply lying on that application to save money on wages.
Yeah, well, I think that there was some reports that were done saying that there's plenty of people in other countries and that could outperform the Indian. But the India culture is you get on board with it, and you hire other Indians and bring them in. So, this to me is a big red flag with Ramaswamy. And we do have somebody coming on. We have Stuart Moats at 8 o'clock. Who is Stuart Moats? Stuart Moats is going to be the lieutenant governor with Heather Hill if they win. So he's going to talk about their platform. So we could talk to Stuart here in just a minute.
I've got a question for our guest. Jeff, have you heard anything about any of our elected representatives, at the federal level, the senators or representatives? Are they saying anything about these visa programs?
No, I haven't. And that's kind of one of the most concerning things about this. I will say, as somewhat of an update to what you were saying earlier, Joe, so the Vivek campaign, I guess Lord Vivek himself was supposed to be speaking at the 2025 Synergy event for Mighty Serve Alliance this week in Puerto Rico. It's like an annual event they go, and I don't know what they do there, but he was going to be the headline event. And he backed out at the last minute because of the negative press that had been circulating about IT Serve Alliance, both the video that you showed and two other videos, which readers can log on to the OhioRegister.com and check out some of those backdoor meetings in which IT Serve Alliance outlined their strategies for how they've overturned previous H-1B restrictions and their plans to continue down that road. So that negative press, according to an article in the Times of India, is what led to Vivek backing out of the event. Now, what he was going to say there, or what he was going to do there, I would love to have an answer to that. I would also, in my personal opinion, I would like to know, something from the Ohio GOP, the party, why they're, standing behind a guy who has made disparaging comments about American workers that got him kicked out of the federal Doge before his appointment, and why they feel it's appropriate to sort of back this individual who seems to be going down this road of supporting mass H-1B immigration into Ohio. No,
I agree with you 100% there. And okay, I'll just lay it out where I'm at. I like Ramaswamy, but there's a few things that I don't like, and one of them is he seems to say, after a while, if you listen to him long enough, he seems to say whatever he can say in a room to get them to vote for him. He's like a real politician. I'm beginning to wonder how sincere he is on all of this stuff. Now, I'm really glad to hear he didn't go to that conference. He was supposed to be one of the keynote speakers. He backed away and probably got some advice from the Republican Party here in Ohio and said, don't go to that. But the only other thing, John, the only other thing about Ramaswamy is the guy, if he's with the teachers union, he supports the teachers union. If he's with with somebody else, he's supporting vouchers. He wants to spend money for the teachers to get the salaries, but he wants to get rid of property taxes, and on and on. So I'm beginning to get dizzy with Ramaswamy, because I want a guy that's sincere and he's going to just stick to his guns on some of these issues. But what's your thoughts on any of this?
So let me start by saying this. America First isn't just a slogan, it's survival. We have to put America first, or there won't be an America 20, 30 years from now. The reality is we are not going to make the world a better place by letting illegal immigrants or by allowing HB1 visas to take the place of American workers. That's ultimately lowering pay worldwide, not raising it. It's lowering American standards, not raising global standards. What we need to do is to show that paying a fair wage, being the leaders in technology and innovation, allows us to raise standard of living for everyone in America. We're the envy of the world. And if your country isn't doing as well, you should be more like us. So you improve the plight of the folks in India and China and in third world countries, not by just opening the door and letting them come to Ohio or Michigan. You improve their situation by setting a better standard of living here and saying, if you want it there, you need to get rid of that dictator. You need to get rid of that tyrant. And, as Thomas Jefferson says, a little revolution is necessary every now and again. But we can't save the world by bringing them all to the United States. We save the world by making the rest of it like the United States. We shouldn't be more like them. They should be more like us. As to Donald Trump, I think you can hear loud and clear this organization hates him, hates the fact that he's put America first. Ain't nobody on God's green earth perfect, and ain't nobody that we all agree with 100% of the time. But God bless Donald Trump. We wouldn't have a country left if it wasn't for him. And once again, nobody's perfect, but Vivek is running with Donald Trump's endorsement, and I think the fact he pulled out of this conference is proof that he's got the right people around him telling him, we got to stay on the America First path.
No, I agree. I agree with those sentiments exactly. And like I said, Stuart Motes is supposed to be coming on at 8 o'clock, but I want to ask you another question, Jeff. In the meantime, there's another story we could just touch on here briefly, but Robert F. Kennedy Jr. with the Center for Disease Control and Prevention of Vaccine Advisory, they voted to remove hepatitis B vaccine from the recommended list of vaccines to give to newborn babies. Now, this is crazy, guys. What's crazy is all the vaccines. I mean, the child is just being delivered, and you got all these doctors hanging out there with these syringes ready to start poking them like a cactus. But here's what's in this vaccine, and through their wise, as wise as they are, they said we can't do it. Aluminum hydroxide is in it. Formaldehyde is in there. There's stuff that shuts down the autoimmune system. Autism disorders were found in it. There's also asthma, developmental delays in the child, ear infections, gastrointestinal disorders. So, comment on that, because I got that off of your Ohio Register as well, which is, I thought, an interesting story.
Yeah. Some good news, actually, for once, I think, for those who actually read science, right? We heard for the last, what has it been, about 5 or so years now, trust the science, but then we started reading it. The hepatitis B vaccine specifically is administered to newborn, in the hospital room after delivery, into the recovery room, and they say that it's there to treat a virus, hepatitis B, which is primarily transferred through, and I try not to be too graphic, but blood and feces. This is a liver disease that primarily is transmitted through blood and feces. So the primary people who are at risk for it, especially as an infant, is only if your mother is infected with it and you come into contact with that blood or feces, during birth. In addition to that, you have people as adults, adolescents who could come into contact with, needles from intravenous drug users, in the household or something of that nature. The idea that the average infant needs to get this vaccine is asinine, and it's always been asinine. And there's been multiple studies that have shown that those compounds you discussed, the aluminum hydroxide specifically, causes neuroinflammation because this is an adjuvant that gets injected with the compound, the actual, isolated viral components. It goes through the body. The aluminum nanoparticles cross the blood-brain barrier and cause neuroinflammation. And there have been studies after studies, and the CDC is now starting to become accommodating to this realization. But that neuroinflammation leads to damaged brain cells, which creates autism spectrum disorder as a symptom onset, okay, according to the ASD. So that's been verified through multiple research pathways. Formaldehyde specifically causes autoimmune disorders. It affects immune regulation. So you're putting an infant at risk with the injection at a far greater rate than you are potentially trying to prevent an illness that the average infant in the average family is never going to come into contact with.
Yeah, and the child, I mean, it's just, these are newborn babies. It's almost like they want to get the syringe in them before you take them home because you may not come back, in Big Pharma, they want to get as much of this as they possibly can. Hey, I want to thank you for coming on tonight. Really appreciate it, okay?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks,
Jeff.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Jeff. Really do appreciate it. We got to get our next guest here, Stu Moats. Hey, Stu.
Hey, Joe. Before we go to Stu, I'm here with Dakota Sawyer. Everybody knows Dakota from Monday Night Roundtable. We're working on a congressional campaign. The congressional district, as well as the person, will remain nameless until January. We're firming up a lot of things, and we'd like to give Jeff we're going to give him the exclusive story. I think this could be a tremendous race, but no name, no district at this time. Also, again, Joe, I saw you were putting up the flyer for tomorrow's symposium, just in case people haven't really looked at it or it was too quick for them. It's tomorrow at the Thirsty Cowboy. Doors open at 5. Meeting starts from 6 to 8. Questions pertaining to repeal of the real estate taxes through a constitutional amendment. That's at the Thirsty Cowboy, where Medina County Friends and Neighbors has their meetings on Saturdays. This is tomorrow on Monday. The owner gave us the premises. He's usually closed on Monday. And the Thirsty Cowboy is at the intersection of Route 18 and I-71, a little bit east of the intersection on the north side in the Antique Mall Plaza. We hope to see people there. We'll be live telecasting as well. Monday Night Roundtable will be partially simulcasting it. So we hope to see everybody there tomorrow. Doors open at 5. Meeting from 6 to 8 at the Thirsty Cowboy, beautiful Medina, Ohio, Route 18 and I-71, exit 218. So I hope to see everybody there. So, Joe, I'm going to beg off because Dakota and I, again, are working on some themes and fundraising and different things for this potential candidate coming up.
All right.
Thanks,
George. Yeah, we really appreciate it. Yep. And we will see
thanks,
you.
George.
We'll see you tomorrow, George, at the
Sounds
Thirsty
great.
Cowboy.
I'll be there with Dakota. Like I said, we're working on
people
some
can
other
sign the
projects.
petition also. We're going to
Yes,
have petitions.
absolutely.
They can sign petitions there.
Yeah, sign
sounds
petitions.
great.
Absolutely. Just come, get your questions answered. Just show up, please. Just show up, and you'll have a good time. You'll have a good time while you're there.
All
Well,
right,
let's
sounds
see.
great. All
Thanks
right,
again,
good night.
George. Dakota,
All right,
thank
good
you
night.
guys.
Good night, gents.
Good night. Thanks, George.
Hey, Stuart. Hey, you know what? I don't know if you're on your cell phone. If you want to turn it sideways, we might be able to get bigger picture of you.
Yeah, let's do that.
Give that a shot and see if it works. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. There we go. Great.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Much better.
Very good.
You know,
So-
hopefully the Thirsty Cowboy will let me in. I mean, it sounds like my kind of place.
Yeah, I was going to say you're dressed for it already. It's up in Medina, though. That might be a little bit of a drive for you.
Yeah, it's about a 3-hour drive, but Heather and I, we're going to be there. We already talked about it. I'm going to leave work a little bit early tomorrow, and we're going to make it.
To the Thirsty Cowboy?
Yes, sir. We'll be
Oh,
there.
awesome. Well, that is fantastic. So we will make sure that you are recognized there. Yeah, we'll let you talk a little bit. Hey, let's talk about it right now, though. So you would be, if Heather Hill wins, you're the team, so you're going to be the lieutenant governor. Here's the platform that I have, and then fill me in. Abolishing property taxes, so that's probably why you're going to be at the Thirsty Cowboy. That's great.
Amen. That's right.
You want to bring in some manufacturing industry into Ohio. You want to reform education, and you want to get rid of those data centers, which we've talked about those things a little bit here too.
Right.
So fill us in a little bit, some of the gaps in there on your platform, okay?
So some of the gaps there. So if you're looking now, I don't need to go into abolish property taxes. You guys are doing God's work there. Good Lord, if between Brian, Leonard, John, yourself, I mean, you guys have documented just the theft from that we're taxing everyone out of their homes. It's one of those. So I have an MBA. I mean, I'm not there with John and those guys, but it's one of those. It's basic economics. I mean, you talk about all the, what was it, George W. Bush? He's going to do the stimulus, and then of course all the COVID stuff, the stimulus. Could you imagine stimulating the Ohio economy with that $22 billion? And I know you guys have talked about it. I think it was back at Memorial Day, podcast. But I know with me, if I save my $25,000 a year that I pay in property taxes, I'm going to put that back into the economy. So if you have a deck that's
so wait
built
a minute, you're paying $25,000 a year in property taxes. So
$25,000.
So you're a farmer, or
Correct.
you just own a lot of property. Yeah, okay, you're a farmer.
Well,
Wow.
So farmer, we own 2 tree services, and then we do have a nice house. So we've been very blessed. We've worked our butts off, but we're blessed. So to pay $25,000 in property taxes, obviously we've had a lot of good Lord's blessings, but $25,000 a year is just nuts.
That is nuts. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's get the commission here. Commissioner, you're going to be at the Thirsty Cowboy. Look at that.
Oh, he's ready.
He's ready. Everybody is ready. He's one of the panelists too, by the way. Yeah, be one of the panelists up there. Okay, I'm going to go around the table because I want these guys to get involved here and direct the questions, if you can, to Stu. Let's find out as much as we can about him, okay?
Yeah, thank you, Stu, for joining us. I did have the pleasure of interviewing Heather Hill months ago when we first started this movement in Cleveland, and we have been supporting her. I can tell everyone that Vivek Ramaswamy wants to eliminate the income tax, and he is not interested at all in eliminating the property taxes. So I just can't support him, and I look forward to asking Heather Hill questions Monday night about the property taxes and what she is, how is she going to help the average citizen to maintain their properties, because that is the foundation of freedom and liberty. We keep saying that over and over again, but the legislators are just not understanding that. And as Commissioner Plechik says, as long as they've got their bases covered, they're not worried about the average citizen. So we need to change that mindset.
They certainly aren't. Yeah, they certainly are. Let's go. Speaking of the commission, let's go to the commission. Commission, anything you want to say to Stu? You get to know him a little bit and for his platform?
Well, I would like to ask Stu, if you were lieutenant governor and you were tasked with looking at state government and how to cut the $22 billion out of it to pay for the reform of abolishing property taxes, which is where we're going, what would you cut? Ultimately, any $20 billion are going to do, and the state has a record-breaking budget over $100 billion. What do you cut first?
Well, I'm going to cheat a little bit because I've been listening to you guys for a long time, and even just rezoning the school districts to have one board of education, one school district per county, that alone would save millions of dollars. And then I want to say, Mr. Massey, I forget which which video it came from or which discussion, but I know he was talking about just in one county there was like $1.8 million just to administer the daggone the every 3 years the reassessments of people's properties. I mean, how much, like, what's the administrative burden and administrative cost of just administering the property taxes alone? A little bit about my background. So I was enlisted military at first, and then I got my degree, and then I retired as an officer out of the U.S. Air Force. And I was a contracting officer, so I was in charge of spending Uncle Sam's money for the last 11 years of my career. And I can tell you that there is plenty, we'll say, plenty of dodging that can be done, I believe, in every single government organization. When was the last time someone came to you guys and said, you know what, I think this government agency, XYZ, I think they really spend their money well? Like, everyone knows, like, everyone's in violent agreement that the government is very, very just full of fraud, waste, and abuse. So I'll guarantee you, I mean, I know you guys talked about a $5 million figure at some point. I would be shocked if only 5% couldn't be found in the $100 billion budget.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd probably find that. Just look under a few couch
Welcome,
cushions.
welcome to the show, Stu. A couple of things. I've got some buddies in the military and recent former military, including some guys on the cost and accounting side. And some of the stories I hear are nightmares, just absolute nightmares. They're supposed to audit bases that are supposedly have a huge list of equipment that actually doesn't even exist. The horror stories are really bad. And when it comes to our military, I mean, I guess there may be some areas where I might be convinced to be a little bit comfortable with somebody fudging some numbers a little bit. But when it comes to our national defense, absolutely not. It's a critical red line that some people have crossed. Same thing in schools. So 2 things. One, I'm going to make a comment and open the door to a future interview. And the second, I'm going to ask you a question. I announced a little earlier on the show that as of this last Tuesday morning, the 2nd, I am one of the hosts of a radio program here based out of Lake County. It's WINT 101.5 FM and 1330 AM. I'd like to welcome you, offer to host you on that show. We have drive time 7 to 8 a.m. We can connect after the show and see if you or Heather would like to come on the program and talk about your platform. It's a call-in format. It's also live streamed. And I'm actually going to interject that I'm very pleased to announce that this coming Wednesday, we're hosting my friend Bob Friends. So Bob Friends from Northeast Ohio. If you're in this area, you know this story that took place last week with Bob and his show, his 11-year-long show, Strictly Speaking. Bob will be on WINT with me on Wednesday morning. But the question I have made it a study to understand what's happening in Ohio's schools and the education system. It's a nightmare. I've had years of interaction with our state board. In fact, several former state board members are personal friends of mine, and you'll meet with some probably tomorrow night. The question I have is, what do we do with this nightmare structure that we've got? We've got one of the largest boards of education in the country with 19 members, some elected, some appointed. And then the last election cycle, we saw the teachers' unions basically buying some of those seats. We've seen some moves that are, I think they missed the mark from Mike DeWine, trying to take some of the rights and rules and responsibilities away from that board. But what would you do with that spaghetti noodle tangle to try and get better education back to Ohio?
So WINT, I mean, I'm a big football fan, so my memory goes to interception. So we'd love to be on your show. The school system, so this is one of those, just ask the general question. is the school system hitting the mark? And what is that mark? So to me, the mark is, are we preparing our youth for real life? And I can't tell you last time, including I have a 22-year-old and 28-year-old, when was the last 18-year-old that you ran across, a recent high school graduate, and you said to yourself, you know what? The school system has really prepared this child for real life. I mean, my son's getting ready to graduate OSU, and I asked him about a month ago, I was like, hey, bud, I know you do Algebra 2, calculus, trig, all this, but do you know what an escrow is? Do you know what Social Security and FICA, do you know what all that is coming out of your taxes? He has no idea. So we're failing to hit the mark to prepare our youth for real life by a long shot. I mean, we're not even hitting the target. The heck with zeroing it in. I mean, we're missing the whole darn target. The school system in general, I mean, I know you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And so you don't want to go in there and say, hey, we're just gonna carpet bomb this entire organization. But it's got to be figuring out what the inner workings are, talking with the smart people, even like yourself, that, you know, you've been asking the questions and you've been digging into this for what, a decade now. So there's, in the military we call them SME, subject matter experts, and also someone with critical thinking. So many people in the military or in government in general, they're just worried about preserving their job and justifying their position. And when I see Manning documents, I ran into someone at Chase Bank not too long ago, and he was like, man, we've been operating at 50% Manning for 2 years. And I said, well, just because your Manning document says that you're justified for 100% more than what you're operating now at doesn't mean that you're undermanned, because obviously you're meeting the mission. So these government positions, I mean, to be able to go in and with independent thought and having no conflicting, what do I want to call it? Like, there's just no conflicting, I say conflicts of interest. It's like, because I think everything should be baselined on what is best for the Ohio citizens. That's it. So is the current school system the best for Ohio citizens? Absolutely not. Is property taxes the best for the citizens of Ohio? Absolutely not. And that's where, like, with the data centers comes in. It's like, is that, because I've heard Ramaswamy talk about, well, no one's going to lose their jobs with data centers and when AI comes in. And it's like, no one with any common sense is going to believe that. Because I'd rather get to building infrastructure, manufacturing. I mean, heck, between the railways, the interstates, the waterways, it was like, what made Ohio great was production and manufacturing. I know I'm getting off on a little bit of a rabbit trail here, but President Trump, like, man, he has hit so many home runs in less than a year in office. And some of those home runs, the numbers, they conflict depending on which news story you click, but he's basically secured $8.8 trillion of foreign investments come back into the U.S. And I was asking AI, I was like, hey, how much of that foreign investment is scheduled to come to Ohio? Because most of that foreign investment, it's production and manufacturing. It's like, hello, Ohio's a great place. Let's bring those jobs here. But no, they're going to Texas. They're going to Florida. Some are going to Tennessee. It was like, what's Ohio leadership doing to bring that industry, that foreign investment, a lot of production and manufacturing? What is Ohio leadership doing to bring that here, to land that in Ohio? Because you talk about growing the tax base. That's one of those, all ships rise with the rising tide. But I've heard nothing from Ohio leadership, from the Senate, from the representatives, from the governor's office. I haven't heard anything about it. It's like, why are we not just really trying to build a business case and to attract those that foreign investment, particularly in production and manufacturing, here to Ohio?
No, they got to.
Stu, I want to ask you a question, because you mentioned 3 states: Tennessee, Florida, and Texas. And I want to ask you a question. What do all 3 of those states have in common as to why they'd be bringing in those jobs?
I think everyone knows the answer. It's taxes. They have better tax situations than Ohio. Ohio, I think it was you I think it was you, John, that said I think we're the eighth highest taxed state in the union. I was like, that's crazy. But again, because for people who are businessmen, businesswomen like myself, when you hear about, hey, where are we going to start this business, or what's attractive for businesses, and even so on the federal level, when we were retiring, and just kind of everyone in the military knew, it's like, hey, if you retire, if you go to Tennessee, they don't tax retirement income. Hey, if you go to Florida. So even on that level, it was attractive within the military, those states that had more common sense tax structures.
And I think if we
Exactly right.
if we abolish the property taxes, we're going to be bringing, I would think, revenue, manufacturing and stuff like that into this state. Quick question from me: are you running as Republicans now? Is that what had to happen? Is that true? Yeah, because
Yes.
you were originally going to run as an independent, so you're going to be going up against Ramaswamy in the primary.
You are correct. So what it is that we wanted to be independent because we feel a lot of the two-party system, there's so much vitriol. So it's one of those, you can't go in there and say, hey, the blue team had a good idea, the red team had an idea. Like there's so much hate and dissension among the two parties. So we felt, hey, there's enough room in between the far left and the far right that an independent could actually make a splash, because we really coin ourselves in being conservative Republicans or independent thinkers, and we didn't want to be part of, would say, like an establishment to where the RNC kind of, in a sense, dictates. Like, we don't want to be a puppet for the RNC puppet master. But again, at the state governor level, I think there's a lot more goodness, and there's a lot more autonomy from the RNC. So I don't think you have to.
Hey, Joe, is that lag
Like-
only on my side, or is that coming from Stu?
What's that? What's that, Jonathan? What'd you say? I think I lost him. Brian, do you have a question you want to? We'll probably just wrap this up pretty soon. But do you have a thought?
Yeah, Stu, did you have the support of the Libertarian Party? I remember speaking to Michael Sweeney, and he was, supporting Heather Hill, but maybe that's been changed.
Yes, it's been changed. I know Heather met with him a couple times, and there were some core values there that just didn't line up with Heather, so she decided not to pursue the Libertarian Party.
Very
Okay,
good, thank you.
And you were going to go try to go with the Independent Party, I believe. So let's just go around the horn one more time here. What do you think? What do you got, John? I like the hat, man. I like the hat. Where's the holster?
Or we're getting ready for the duel at noon at the OK Corral. I mean, the Thirsty Cowboy tomorrow. Doors opening 5, talk beginning at 6 o'clock, and I have a feeling property taxes are going down hard in that particular duel. But what I know is that higher tax states like New York, California, Ohio are slowly dying. They're seeing their populations move to Florida, Texas, Tennessee, to lower tax states. People are voting with their feet. And if we don't reform taxes in Ohio, not just abolish property taxes, we really need to get all of our taxes under control. There needs to be massive spending cuts. There won't be anyone left to tax. I mean, we're starting by taxing seniors out of their homes, but this story ends with taxing everyone out of Ohio. If we want a future for this state, and I do, we need to cut taxes and cut spending now.
That's the key, though. That's the key. Do you have any thoughts on trying to push for a right-to-work state? Would that be something you might have on the platform, or?
Well, for me, I mean, I'll tell you what, if you could do away with the H-1B or to really dial it back, that's going to give all of our graduates and our hardworking people coming out of high school in the trades, it's going to give them a fair shake. So that's one of those we've got to look at. Again, it's like, do you throw it out or you just really reform it? But the last thing you can do is expand it like Ramaswamy's team is looking at.
Oh, yeah, we cannot do that. Jonathan, you got less thought for Stuart?
Well, I do actually. So I'll turn this into my third and final shameless plug for our new radio show. It's called Voice of Geauga on WINT 1330 AM. It's 101.5 FM and streaming WINT radio. It sounds like we have a willing guest in the future. Stay tuned. Hopefully, Stu and or Heather join us on the radio program and give additional information. We're drilling down right now into county budgets, and I'm starting with Geauga, the county in which I live. It makes a good representative example, especially for those of us who are conservative on the right, because supposedly sleepy, rural, conservative red Geauga County, supposedly, is under lock and key and has good watchdogs, but it makes a really good example for fiscal irresponsibility. I want to drill down into that and remember, again, Bob France will be joining us this coming Wednesday. One other thing, Joe, if you'll forgive me just interjecting this, not tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning at 9:30, there's a vote in Geauga on our county budget. I'm encouraging everybody to show up at the county office building 9:30 Tuesday morning and encourage our county commissioners to vote no on this preposterous, inflated, egregiously awful budget. Back to Stu. I want to thank you again for coming on, doing what you're doing. It sounds to me, I'm reading between the lines, like you and your family have a successful life. You've built something meaningful, and it sounds terrific. It sounds to me, if I'm guessing correctly, that you're one of those people that believes in citizen legislature. You saw something wrong and you're willing to throw your hat in to try to step into the ring to fix it. If that's the case, I thank you for it.
Yes, sir. So that's really, I'm a non-political person. Good Lord, I never wanted to run for any office. But several months ago, when it looked like what the RNC was offering, so I'm a conservative Republican, have been that way my entire life. Heck, this morning, our church, we have a prison ministry. I gave the message to a bunch of inmates in Dayton this morning. So that's where my love is. I love people. I love serving people. I was back with the military. But when you're telling me that our only option on the conservative side of the ticket, what's supposed to be conservative, is a non-Christian billionaire who has never once been kept up at night with anything that has ever kept me up at night. I mean, think about that. So everyone loves J.D. Vance. You know why? Because he came from nothing. When J.D. speaks, he's not speaking in four-syllable words that you're trying to look up on your phone to see what the heck they mean. No one's ever said that Ramaswamy's dumb. He's brilliant. I'll give him that. But if I cannot relate to my elected official who is supposed to represent me, and I know they can't relate back, then what in the world am I doing sending him to the most powerful position in Ohio when again, he's never been in my shoes? There's only 10 billionaires in the state of Ohio, and he's one. And he's supposed to represent us. I mean, has he ever stepped foot in public school? If he did, it's probably my mistake. And I ask people when I meet them, I was like, have you ever had a conversation with a millionaire, let alone one of the 10 billionaires in the state? And they're like, no. I was like, you're probably not even you're not even breathing the same air. I was like, all of a sudden, Ramaswamy's taking pictures of construction workers to try to look relatable. I was like, do you think he would have been jogging in his community and spoke to them 8 months ago when it wasn't a PR stunt? So really, and it's not even his fault. Like I told him, it's like, look, I'm sure he's a good guy. It's not his fault. He was born into a millionaire family, and he moved that ball forward down the field. Now he's a billionaire. Oh, but back to J.D. Vance. When he speaks, he came from just a blue-collar, very poor upbringing, and then he made it, right? He made something of himself. He's the true American dream. And when he speaks, it's like, you know what? I'd have a beer with that guy. I know he can relate to me. Again, Ramaswamy, to no fault of his own, he was born into a millionaire family, and I don't think him and I could have a conversation about just very basic things in life because, again, he's just not relatable. It's no fault of his own. So that's where I stepped in, and I was like, look, I know it's a long shot. I mean, I'm not delusional, but it's one of those, when I see an issue, I'm like, you know what? If it's a God thing, it'll happen. If not, at least 5 years from now, I'm not going to look back and say, what if?
Yeah, and you'll learn a lot. You'll learn a lot from doing it, regardless of what the outcome is. So, all
Joe,
right.
can I mention one last thing to Stu? Stu, if there's anything that we can do to help you on the issue of property taxes, you can just give me a call or communicate with me, and we'll keep you posted on how the movement to abolish property taxes is going. If that
I
helps.
appreciate it. Oh, that'll help a lot. And like I said, I've been watching you three. Like I said, you guys been doing God's work, and you guys' hearts are obviously in the right place. I mean, this is a selfish thing. You guys aren't getting rich. I mean, you're getting slandered. You're getting, you're probably getting cussed out at some of these meetings, but you're going in there just like you guys were talking about earlier. I mean, you're going into the lion's den, and you're doing it because it's the right thing to do. I mean, you're not gaining fame and fortune from it. So I really appreciate you guys as a team doing that.
Well, thank you for stepping forward, Moats, Stuart. Really appreciate it. God bless you. Good luck. We got the confetti, and the fans are cheering you.
Thanks for joining us, Stu. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Stu.
Give your best. Give our best to Heather, and talk to you soon. See you tomorrow at the
See you
Thirsty
tomorrow,
Cowboy. Please
Tomorrow
be there.
night, boys.
Be there. All right. Thanks. Thank you, Stuart. Good night. See you guys.
Bye.
Good night.
Now you're the ones who've lost their touch.